The Pokemon Company has made another statement regarding the players that were banned for using Metronome because the whole situation has gone viral and the Pokemon Company is receiving a lot of backlash for it. The problem is, the narrative that the players were banned for simply using Metronome is a complete lie, and we have the official statement being all players' battle teams included illegally modified Pokemon. Now I'm going to need every single person to leave a like on this video and share it in every possible way they can. Twitter, Discord, Facebook, MySpace. The truth needs to get out there because these Korean players were not banned for using Metronome. They were banned for using hacked Pokemon. We finally have the irrefutable precedent that players do get banned for using genned Pokemon in VGC. Also, everyone needs to comment their thoughts down below and watch the entire video because that turbo boosts the algorithm. Thank you for helping and sticking with me for all this time. We finally have a big one. So the big lie that it was only about the use of Metronome and it was only about the protest was just completely wrong, and I said this from the beginning. WolfeyVGC lied. Nash VGC, the person that started this, lied. Every person in the Pokemon community whose name is not Kurt or Verlis lied. Also in this post, there's a note about the previous notice, which is what kicked this thing off from Nash, and then their conclusion, remember, was Pokemon Korea saw our teams, didn't like it, and disqualified everyone. But if you actually read the original notice, there are multiple registered Pokemon with only one specific learned skill, making normal matches and tournaments impossible, which is absolutely correct. And it also is a clear sign of match fixing because anyone that's trying to intentionally win a game of Pokemon is not going to bring a team of Pokemon with only one move. Now, while that isn't explicitly against the rules, there's more context here. Confirming the above information in common with multiple players. That's where the whole collusion part comes in. That's why this is the best IQ test I've ever seen. If you have an IQ above room temperature, you can use critical thinking skills to find out, oh yeah, this clearly violates unsporting conduct rules in multiple ways. There's also the context that this is the finals to determine 1st through 4th place following the Korean Trainer Cup that allowed you to remake your team for the final event. So if you're bringing something uncompetitive like this, it means match fixing or something severely unsporting is going on. And that's also why this ruling was completely valid, and anyone trying to spin it any other way was clearly lying. Other actions that the Pokemon Company and Nintendo deem inappropriate. Especially if you're dealing with an Asian gaming company or tournament organizer and you're trying to make a mockery of the finals. We have precedent for this in other esports. Team Dark disqualified from OGN Champions Winter for Cloud Templar tribute game. They played one game with a team that wasn't considered competitive, and to be fair, they did lose the fastest game in League of Legends history, and were disqualified from the entire league. We also have a comment from one of the casters of the event. At the end of the day, this is the biggest league in Korea, and teams, amateur or not, need their participation to be taken seriously. It's a harsh punishment, but I agree with the message it sends to other teams. If you're not up for playing, then maybe you shouldn't be here. It's also worth noting that OGN is the Korean League of Legends league. So, wow, we're seeing similar rulings about proper sportsmanship and actually trying in events being handled in all aspects of Korean esports, including Pokemon. And then going back to the illegally modified Pokemon ruling, it's just common sense. So Kurt pointed this out when he was covering his, VGC free hack checks that not only showed that the Korean Trainers Cup finalists were all cheating, but also we have Portland Regionals 2nd place, we have Hartford Regionals 1st place, we have Sydney Regionals 1st place, all cheating. The cheating problem has gotten so bad in VGC that all of the regional champions cheated at the event or are historic confirmed cheaters like Wolfglick, like Marcus. And now players are so scared of getting caught cheating, they're just not posting their teams anymore. So cheating problem is bad, and it proves that you can't win without cheating in Pokemon because hacking your Pokemon gives such a massive competitive advantage, you just can't make it up. In the Korean Trainers Cup 2023, 3 of the top 4 players who qualified for the final round shared their rental team. First place deleted the rental team after getting disqualified. The team was hacked. Number 3 and 4 had hack teams too. Second place didn't share a code. But when you look at how this played out, it's really clear that all of this was a lie. That first place was banned before anyone else and had the sketchiest, most hacked team because it was from a trade bot, so it's more likely to get caught. He was banned before any of this Metronome protesting stuff happened, and if it was over the Metronome protests, why wasn't everyone immediately banned with him? That didn't happen, and then he also deleted his rental team after getting disqualified because he was caught with hacked Pokemon. Then the protest happened, then they all hacked Metronome teams, and then they all got disqualified for hacking, as well as collusion and match fixing. And then that goes to the other note, all players agreed in advance and were able to manipulate the contents of the tournament. Yes, that's how match fixing works. That's also why we have like all of these rulings and stuff. Because people are saying, oh, this rule is only for like dice rolls and coin flips and stuff, and it's about like outside of the game. No, you can still use the contents of the game to determine a match. For example, if I agree with my opponent that we only use the move Protect and the first person to fail Protect loses the game, that is using in-game RNG means to determine the outcome of a match. There's no difference between that and using only Metronome to determine the outcome of the match. But then the idiots with like sub 70 IQ come in, they say, oh, so that means that critting is against the rules, or missing a stone edge is against the rules. No, you can't determine the outcome of a match by random means without the collusion, which is why it's under unsporting behavior. But even though all of this stuff was obvious from the start, the Pokemon community is so toxic and stupid, they tried to change the narrative to deflect it from the cheating that was going on, because you also hear a lot of things of people saying, oh, no one's ever been banned for cheating. That's a lie. There's actually like historic precedent in the Japanese side of VGC, where players who have been disqualified from events will actually have to refund the prize money if they were caught hacking. And as we saw with the Pokemon VGC 2016 Senior World Champion, you can still get banned for using hacked Pokemon, even if they have quote-unquote possible stats at VGC events. So yeah, look at all those placements and then realize, oh, it's only possible with cheating in Pokemon, and every top VGC player is doing it. There's been hundreds of thousands of player bans throughout the history of Pokemon for having hacked Pokemon and modified save data, and this applies to quote-unquote gen Pokemon, because if you read the rules, there's no such thing as a legal hack. It's impossible to modify Pokemon and have it be legal in any way. The stats don't matter. So when a champion or anyone in the Pokemon VGC community gets disqualified and banned for using hacked Pokemon, that information needs to be suppressed. So it's really predictable that we have WolfeyVGC, a proven career-long liar and cheater when it comes to Pokemon, defending cheaters to perpetuate the lie about the Korean players getting banned from Metronome. Huh, it all adds up and it all keeps coming together. Wow. Now that doesn't mean that this is all wrapped up in a nice little perfect bow, that millions of people have still been exposed to the lie that this was about players being banned from Metronome, and they're never going to find out the truth that it was because they used hacked Pokemon. And WolfeyVGC has lied to so many simps that refuse to accept reality, they're never going to hear the truth about this either, or even care, because they can't even accept the fact that Wolfey is a cheater. And then we also have other influencers like Joe Merrick using questionable language to describe this. Oh geez, the Korean Trainer Cup situation has gotten even more dicey. What's dicey about players getting banned for hacking Pokemon when that was what happened to begin with and then people tried to change the narrative? What's dicey that WolfeyVGC got caught lying again about very easy rules interpretation? What's dicey about lies getting debunked? Players were not simply banned for using Metronome or making a honest protest. They used hacked Pokemon, they match fixed, it was very easy to figure all this stuff out, and WolfeyVGC lied. What's dicey about the truth? I don't know, but maybe this is actually going to be a good sign. Maybe this signal to the Pokemon Company Korea will finally show that, like, yeah, the hacking problem is more out of control everywhere. And then that just kind of goes into my theory about how the Pokemon Company International is covering up for all of the cheating that is happening outside of Asia. Japan and Korea will punish you for cheating if caught. Outside of that, the punishments are a lot more light because then the entire system comes crumbling down because your poster boy WolfeyVGC is a cheater. Because of that, him and all of his friends, they now conspire and collude together to allow cheating at events. Ray Rizzo, Cybertron, Alpha Zealot, all the players that have been caught cheating, every non-Japanese world champion is a cheater, and they all cover for each other. And the Pokemon Company International is covering that up from the rest of the Pokemon Company, and maybe the cheating problem has finally gotten so large, and it's also spilling over into other regions and stuff, to where it cannot be ignored, and something might actually be done about it, because now we have the undeniable precedent that players have been banned for using hacked Pokemon. The reason why we don't hear about this a lot is because you don't just expose what you're cracking down on players for, because then they're going to go around it. That's why they just say, we deem this inappropriate, you're banned, and then you don't get a reason because they're the tournament organizers. That's how it works. And because there's never been an example of an abuse of this rule, because this was supposed to be it, and as we can see, that was a lie, there's no problem when the Pokemon Company goes, you're banned for violating the rules. They don't need to elaborate any further because then that just kind of gives a shelter for other potential rule breakers. It's not hard, but again, the average IQ in the Pokemon community, especially the VGC community, is like 60. So apparently all that stuff is hard to understand. And now we get to watch the liars writhe as it all comes crumbling down. So from Nash, Pokemon Korea released a new statement regarding the 4 finalists. 4 players will be permanently banned from playing Pokemon Company Korea official circuits. The 4 Day 2 qualifications will not be replaced and therefore be vacant. You did this to yourself. It's kind of crazy that they're trying to turn this on the Pokemon Company Korea, that it's unfair to the other competitors that there's no Day 2 Worlds qualifiers because the top 4 got caught with hacked Pokemon and lost that privilege. They stated the following reasons: in addition to the finalists being disqualified, all players' battle teams included hacked Pokemon, all players had an agreement prior to the tour, making it prone to collusion. Now look at the stats here. Notice how, like, the most important information that was omitted from the original statement is getting less retweets, less likes, and less views. As we talked about earlier in this video, the truth must be suppressed. The Pokemon community will never come together to let the truth get out there if it means that players are getting disqualified for hacking Pokemon. It's only about the outrage that it's unfair players are permanently being banned for using Metronome and that other players are not allowed to have their Day 2 World slots. And now, this is where it just gets absolutely insane, because one of the biggest reasons behind this protest to begin with is that the Pokemon Company does not have enough communication with their Asian players and that their rulings are too vague. So we get a specific ruling that debunks the entire lie, that debunks the narrative, and now it's a problem, even though it's actually the Pokemon Company responding to the request. If this was the real cause for our disqualifications, they could have stated it earlier. Why? Why does the Pokemon Company have to reveal that they're on the hunt for cheaters and then make the cheaters be harder to detect and go into hiding? Changing and adding reasons just now seems intentional, except as we saw earlier in the video, the first place player being banned initially was over having hacked Pokemon because it was before any of this Metronome nonsense started. And then trying to turn it against Pokemon, their last sentence: we ask you for your continued interest and love for the Pokemon series, Pokemon Korea. Oh yeah, this gives me a lot more interest and love for Pokemon. I'm finally feeling hope for VGC, even though we should have had this hope all along, where WolfeyVGC got caught by Kurt for hacking Pokemon. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't, because Pokemon Company International is corrupt. The Japanese side, though, gives me hope. One day, those cover-ups and corruption from the Pokemon Company International have to break through, and it's stories like this where it's like cheating is being punished that give me that hope and will bring people back into Pokemon, because most people quit because there's too much cheating. There's never been a time in the history of any game, sport, or esports where more players play the game because cheating is prevalent. No, all it does is kill the scene. Some real talk. The messenger, not the message. What? You are the whole reason for this boycott, and you perpetuated all the lies to begin with. They have banned players of hack before in which it wasn't one. unfortunately, the broken English here doesn't help. Like, are they trying to say that players were banned for hacking even though they didn't hack? And is that trying to be like some kind of VGC lie where a gym Pokemon with possible stats isn't hacked? But no, it's hacked. A gym is always hacked. I don't understand how people are so stupid that they don't consider a gym Pokemon, which can only exist through hacking and modifying the game, to not be a hacked Pokemon. They clearly lack the ability to detect hacking, so adding this now is just to make us look bad. Except, it was proven that these players used hacked Pokemon. So it's making you look bad that the facts and truth came out? Leaving day 2 slots empty just shows how indifferent they are. Yes, that's because all the top players just made a mockery of the scene, and who knows how much more hacking is below that. Also, with the massive support from the Korean VGC community over these lies, you lost it. You did this to yourself. What are you upset about? No one deserved those, except for maybe like 60th place, who's probably the first legitimate player in the entire bracket. Permanent ban from playing an official circuit has never been seen before. It was at best banned for this generation. And that's what I kind of said, like, Wolfey needs a generation plus a year ban minimum with all the lying and cheating he's done. But man, like, I would love to see a perma on any of these VGC cheaters. This clearly shows it's a penalty for the protest and making a fuss. Not the match fixing. We've never seen match fixing like this in Pokemon, or at least, you know, blatant punishable match fixing. Everyone knows that Marcus threw the 2016 World Semifinals to his teammate Wolfey's to get him into the finals to then make Wolfey the champion, but that's less blatant than turning the entire top 4 into Metronome collusion. Match fixing is a permaban in every other sport and esport, if not outright punished with legal action. And then just like retweets and other nonsense, another chapter of APAC plays Pokemon, and you guessed it, it's more bad news, Korea edition. Pokemon Korea's management refuses to provide a live or fair competitive scenario by banning cheaters and match fixing. Unexplained DQs that were explained but rejected because it makes your cause look bad have happened for years, with players having no chance to even ask why. Players' fault. Well, as I've been covering for the last decade, the Pokemon VGC community is all scum. It's all liars, cheaters, unsporting players, corrupt judges, abusers. Remember when players assaulted each other? Remember when Showdown admin doxed Wolf Glick to scout his team? 99% of Pokemon VGC players deserve nothing but bans. It's a horrible scene. And then we have another historic top VGC player and cheater, Judy Azzarelli, getting upset at Joe Merrick for covering the official statement from the Pokemon Company Korea. It's really damaging and disheartening to see a trusted source just uncritically regurgitate the Pokemon Company Korea lines. What's uncritical? Nash admitted to match fixing. The statement that got all the attention was about the deliberate collusion to run a Metronome team as protest, and then Kurt proved they were using hacked Pokemon. Not a word of nuance or protest, and the majority of the Pokemon community will see this and just further this head-ass narrative. This is what I mean. The Pokemon VGC community is so toxic. Everyone involved is forced to lie to suppress the truth. And then the response to the Pokemon Company Korea, this is some kind of hilarious backtracking. They have no proof of hacking, even though Kurt 100% proved it. Not to mention they made their initial decisions without knowing about any of these potential factors, except the collusion was obvious because the top 4 was only bringing Metronome teams. And then that suspicion was confirmed when Nash VGC and his Korean player group admitted to match fixing. That's the Pokemon community. Completely backwards to where the truth is only seen and must be perpetuated as a lie. Either way, yeah, we have some good news, and hopefully it actually turns into better news. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.